You are listening to the podcast That's Life in Sweden, or as we say in Swedish, Sånt, livet, I Sverige, with me, your host, Lisa Niinimäki. Sanna Ruhalahti is a Finnish educator and part of a unique European project titled Academy for Sustainable Future Educators, or EduSTA. Higher education institutions from besides Finland involved in the project are Holland, the Czech Republic, Spain and Sweden. Welcome, Sanna. How are you?
Thank you, Lisa, for this interesting opportunity to be part of your podcast series. I'm fine.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear. So, Sanna, to start off with, can you talk about the purpose of this project, Academy for Sustainable Future Educators?
Yes. First of all, I think that this is a unique opportunity for us as a higher education and teacher education developers to build something new and something different for teachers continuing education. And I think that this academy offers kind of new opportunities for our teachers in different levels to improve their understanding and knowledge and competencies related to these sustainable educational issues.
And so now you have a very significant role in that you support the creation of a badge constellation for teachers. Can you explain what this means?
Yes, it means that in practical level, my job in this project is to listen and follow first of all the definition of the competencies. What are the current competencies for teachers when we are talking about sustainable education?
Right.
And these competencies must be defined before we can start to think about even what kind of badge constellation we are going to build for our teachers in Europe.
Are these being shared with other teachers across Europe, or are these badges only shared amongst the countries involved in the project?
I think because this is funded by European Union, the main aim is that we are really delivering something shareable to others and other institutions as well. But of course, we have to firstly agree what are those competencies. Do we find the shared and common understanding? What are the real needs for these competencies? And then we can start talk about badges and what kind of constellation we are going to build. And this constellation in a very practical level means that it's a kind of picture or map of these competencies which these badges, these small badges, are covered.
Okay. Now, you have a very special interest in developing digital badges, which is your area of expertise. Now, to someone who is unfamiliar with digital badges, can you explain what it is?
Yes. Very shortly, if we think about what are digital badges, they are like a shareable digital certificates with a picture and with the embedded text information. And that embedded information, it's about your skills or achievements, what you have earned or you have demonstrated. And these badges has been developed to make skills or competencies more visible and more easy to recognize what we really have learned or what we really can or what we have achieved by working, through learning in formal settings, in hobbies, in volunteering working, or other activities in our lives. So badges are used to validate our competencies, skills, knowledge, and different kind of achievements. And they are also used to motivate us as employees or volunteers or as students. And also digital badges, it's an inspiring way to set up new kind of learning opportunities. Like I use here, or we use here in Finland, this open badge-driven learning model, which is based on badges, and you can build your own pathways as a student or teacher or a worker.
Mm-hmm. So how do you design a digital open badge, and what knowledge is necessary?
First of all, we must be aware that there are several kinds of digital badges. All badges are not based on competencies or skills demonstrations. If I talk about the Finnish case, the most used badges in Finland are based on competence or skills demonstrations. And we, in the Finnish language, we call them as a competence-based badges. When we have translated this digital badge, it's a little bit different meaning in the Finnish language. But then, on the other hand, there might be badges which you have earned, like automatically, for example, based on participation in a conference, or you might have earned a digital badge just based on course participation. For example, global MOOCs, massive open online courses, are using this kind of badges. So, but when you are designing these competence-based badges, there are certain structure for the designing process. And first, you have to design the very informative graphical picture of the badge. And then you have to describe the all embedded information, what is included that part of that badge. There have to be competence or learning objectives, of course, assessment criteria for those objectives, the description of competence demonstration, and what kind of evidence is needed you as an applicant.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's it. So my next question is then, well, who does the evaluation of the badges? Yeah.
As you have, Lisa, said, this is like a Wild West. That's in a way that's true. But if I lens this from the Finnish perspective, I think that those organizations who are using digital badges and badge factories are having kind of valued, how I would say, valued situation in the society.
Respected.
Or respected, yes. And normally the assessment and evaluation process happens through verified assessors in those organizations. And organizations, of course, they are in a key role to decide who is the expert to assess this and this specific competence area, for example. And the assessment itself happens in a specific badge factory, always. And the process, the assessment process can be also very supportive and guiding process. For example, if the applicant demonstration does not meet the criteria, what we have set. Yeah, but this is, in a way, it can be like a wild west.
Yes, and I think when you refer to Wild West, and yes, I did bring that up in our meeting in Tampere, in Finland, because it is a very open it is still a very an idea that it's open to really anyone. Yes. to do. So it's not just open to, it's not just something that universities or schools can take part of. It's also businesses.
Yes.
Individuals.
Yes, you pointed.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So, but in this case, we are working, so there's a collaboration of universities or higher education institutions, and our area is actually looking at vocational education, so teachers in vocational education. But would the badges also apply to perhaps teachers in high school or early childhood or primary?
Absolutely. They are transferable for all levels, wherever you are teaching or wherever you are working even. So it just depends the situation where you are participating. Are the institutions or organizations, are they willing to use these more flexible and digitalized opportunities to recognize your skills, knowledge, and competencies?
Yeah. So, do you think the badges will replace formal degrees?
I think that they have their potential when badges are combined with discussion of micro credentials. But I'm not believing that change will happen in the following years. We still need to restructure our educational infrastructure, and also we need to foster the information, how the use of badges is understood and how the badges are used, and how we think about that we can use them as a part of, for example, learn micro pieces of degrees. But if we look the definition of these micro credentials from the European Union, the length of learning, it varies from 1 credit to 59 credits. So it's quite huge variety how to estimate how much is learning included in one badge.
Right. And
so they are not transferred with the credits so far.
Right. And that is, of course, so who decides that? Is that the teacher? Is that is that the designer of the badge?
Yes.
It is.
Surely. Yes.
So you believe, or how valuable is a badge to a teacher and to a higher education institution? I'm just thinking a little bit about the future. What are your thoughts?
Yes, if I think about our University of Applied Sciences, and we are doing teacher education in our unit, and also we are taking part of our staff training in our university. So I think, in my opinion, nowadays, digital badges are more valuable than ever. For example, in our case, if you are working as a higher education lecturer, you have your pedagogical studies, like it might be like 25 years old as my degree is. So you have got your pedagogical qualification ages ago. And now you have a unique opportunity to get, for example, recognition for your higher education pedagogy competence in a very flexible way. And you can show how competent you are, and with digital skills or assessing in higher educational field, or designing learning processes in higher education, and so on. So with badges, we can make a specification in certain topics and certain levels. And it's an innovative way to get recognition for your prior knowledge or gain new knowledge or competencies.
so what you're saying is that the badge is really quite important, and it could be part of, if you like, professional development for teachers who are experts in education.
Yes, yes. I think, Lisa, you just pointed that it's so a unique opportunity to get recognition for your working experience. For example, working as a teacher in vocational institute or in higher educational organizational or in teacher education. So it's just a question how creative we are to use and create those badge constellations for support our professional development. And when I started to work with digital badges, it was already 10 years ago, and in a network of higher educational and teacher educational units, we created a form for this professional development for vocational teachers.
Okay.
And I think in Finland, those vocational teachers who are working in upper secondary schools, they are those forerunners that they took these badges immediately as a part of their professional development opportunities, and they have also bring these badges to part of our vocational education in those institutions.
Now, you have a PhD in education and media from the University of Lapland, and you've also worked for over 25 years as a teacher in the areas of hospitality management and teacher education in Finland, with a focus on vocational education, and you are, of course, passionate about teaching. So I'm curious, what made you decide to become a teacher?
Oh, that's a long story. I was just only 24 years old when I started to dream to get the pedagogical qualification in vocational teaching. And that time I was a mother of 1-year-old girl. And I work in a very hectic business life, like 24/7. And on that time, I had very good connection with the local vocational schools when I work in a western part of Finland. And I had many those on-job learners in the company where I worked. And I met quite many vocational teachers often and I think I had good connection with them and good network. And to become as a vocational teacher in Finland, it means that you have to have at least a bachelor degree or master degree in your own profession. And in my case, it was the hospitality management, and I worked in hotel and hospitals and so on. And then you have to have also the working experience in your own subject field. And all those requirements were met in my case, and I started to get my pedagogical qualification. And at the same time, I got a tempting invitation to start to work as a vocational teacher in a local adult education center. So this was the starting point 26 years ago already. And I'm still thinking that I am in my dream job, even though employers and teaching environments have been changed. I'm not anymore competent to teach this hospitality management sector. But I think that I am more and more getting competent to teach teachers and support their transformation in different fields. And past 16 years, I have been working as a teacher educator, and this job has offered for me many new experiences nationally, locally, and globally, and also deepened my understanding on pedagogy. And also I have seen, sadly, how this ongoing transformation has changed schools and also teachers and teaching.
So what do you mean by you're not happy with the changes, or?
The school reform here in Finland has made many changes, and the most worrying thing is that our society or our decision makers think about that learning happens alone. So
Okay.
what I'm really missing is that how we support our learning communities in vocational schools nowadays.
Okay.
Yeah.
So from your perspective, what are some of the skills teachers need to face future challenges? And what support do you think is important?
I think that there are a huge set of skills which helps us to meet the future challenges. And those skills are those ones which are not replaceable by artificial intelligence. Skills such as adaptability, creativity, dialogical skills, equality, empathy, and so on. I think that all these soft skills, which I was mentioned or listed, I think that those skills are related to our attitude and also based on our self-reflections. The first step for yourself is that you become more and more aware of your own assumptions and understanding and behaviors and so on. They are skills that you are not able to learn from the lectures. The learning, those skills starts from your deep self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the one subject what we have to really teach is reflection skills. And you can learn by step to get deeper, even you are younger, a student, and so on. But I do agree this question about reflection and this was feedback from our Brazilian teachers, which I got that what you have learned here in Finland during this 6 months. Reflect. They said reflect, and reflect. So I don't know if it's cultural related thing, but well.
Well, and that's an interesting question, because you do have, it depends on where the students come from. I'm teaching a group of international students, and there are students who actually say to me, but I want to know what you want me to write about. And I said, well, I'm not going to tell you what you're going to write about, because that is up to you. And as a teacher, we have to trust our students. Sometimes I don't think we trust our students, and because we don't trust them, well, they don't trust themselves.
And they can easily see if we don't trust, even if we don't sow the trust.
Absolutely. Now, you are involved in several other international projects today. So I'm just wondering if you can share why you think it is important for us to collaborate across borders.
Yeah. That's an interesting question. And I think that education globally connects us. It doesn't matter if you are a teacher in Nepal, or you are a teacher in Trinidad and Tobago, or you are a teacher in Lapland. It's important to come together, even virtually, to think about together and share our understanding and see at the end state how small the world really is. We share the same problems, same challenges, same passion, and so on.
Do you think digitalization will or technology, if you like, take over education or the way we teach, or, if you like, remote teaching? Or do you think the face-to-face teaching will still be a major part of our education?
I do believe that we still need to get stronger with this all kind of learning or teaching modes, and we have to be ready to offer all kind of opportunities. If I now look the higher education and teacher education, so our students, even teacher students, they are not willing to return back to the face-to-face mode or campus-based learning, let's call it. So there have to be specific meaning when they are ready for face-to-face learning. So I think that educational technologies have a strong place in our future, but we are more wise to use them in a more meaningful way and set those learning settings from the pedagogical point of view.
So just another question, and this is totally a little bit to the left of our discussion, but Finland right now today is experiencing, even us here in Sweden, we are concerned what is happening in Ukraine. But how concerned do you feel you are as a teacher and educator in Finland about what is happening in Ukraine? And do you think this whole thing will it become worse, or what will happen?
Today, it's mid-October 2022, and I have a feeling that the next page in the war and things what is happening in our eastern neighbor, it's getting worse or very difficult. So I think that this situation it really affects into our minds and our thinking, our being as a human beings, because we have to be prepared to certain situations that we don't have any more electricity, or we don't have food or water, or we don't have this safetiness what I have enjoyed over 50 years. So and what this situation is doing in our educational field in schools, and I think that teachers are more and more facing this fear what our kids, youngsters, adults are facing nowadays. We as a teachers, we have to be more and more stronger role models for our students, whatever is happening around us. And when we look back with the pandemic, we have just experienced this pandemic. And if we think about those students who just have started their vocational schools, I'm worried about them, because they experienced like 2 years remote schooling in their primary school years, and now they are starting to become as a professional, for example, in the tourism sector. But they have faced so many learning and community problems, social problems during these remote schooling times. And now we are living this under this fear, and we have been lived this for over 6 months already.
What do you think your next challenge or next stage is in your career?
Well, if I think about seriously, there are of course some official official pathways, which brings me to support ongoing transformation in our University of Applied Sciences. And then there is an inner passion to get back on soft skills development, especially teachers' soft skills development. And then thirdly, one day to be a competent woman sailor or first mate in open seas. That's in my dreams.
Thank you so much, Sanna, for being a part of the program today, and have a great holiday. Try to enjoy it.
Thank you, Lisa, for inviting me to be part of your show.
You are so welcome. And you have been listening to the podcast Sånt, livet, I Sverige, or in English, That's Life, here in Sweden, with me, Lisa Niinimäki. Till next time, take care of yourself and each other. Bye for now.